The most important thing is you got to be out there, right? You got to be, in there, on their radar in some fashion.
Haseeb, I'm excited to continue our conversation. I'd love to know your story. Like, how did you get to where you are right now, the past now 2-3 years running Rafay Systems? Like, what got you to this point?
Yeah, I think I got lucky. So I went to USC for undergrad. I was at Cal for grad school. And for whatever reason, in 2000, everybody I knew wanted to go work at startups. And I didn't know what a startup was, frankly, at the time. I just seems like a small company. I don't know why they call it a startup. Okay. So I got a job at a startup, and the startup actually, they were paying a lot of money for a 21-year-old at the time. Hey, wow, that's, now these numbers don't do. I talked to the engineers coming out of Stanford with no experience, and they're making so much money, and it's shocking. But at the time, $72,000 was a lot of money. And I'm like, wow, okay, I guess I'll go work at the guys who are giving me the most money. I ended up at a startup, and that startup was a company called Oblix, and they were arguably one of the two companies that created the concept behind single sign-on in our industry. They were acquired by Oracle. What a fascinating time. It was just incredible, right? These people moved fast. They didn't care. So in college, I'd done an internship at Cisco. I'd done an internship at Ericsson, very different environment, right? I had to write a document before I would make a line change. Here, these guys were just, my God, they were just running. It was awesome. And then I never, ever applied to a big company ever again. So I only worked at startups. It was great. And but this is, yeah, it's how can you move any slower than this? It was just, many of the people I worked with back then, this was not, I guess, 20 years ago. I still know them. In fact, my direct manager, who is now a very, very senior person at a very, very large company, these people were just, crazy, man. And that just got me hooked. And I kept working in startups, and eventually 2 companies ago got an opportunity to say, this is interesting. I could do this. We should give it a shot. And it worked out.
Can you share one difficulty, whether it's more on the fundraising side, on the product development side, is getting the first couple clients or scaling? What's a difficulty, a challenge that you were able to overcome? Talk about that tactic. What was that challenge, and how were you able to overcome it?
So all of the things you described were difficulties. I think the most interesting exercise that all of us go through is we don't know what we're eventually going to be shipping when we start. You cannot know. It's just not possible. How can you know? You had some crazy ideas in your head. How do you know you're right? And if you get stuck with that idea that you had on day one, you will fail. Or you could get very lucky, or you could beat Facebook, right? You know exactly what you're building. It's fine. But more often than not, not for the demigods, right? For normal humans, right? It's a process, right? When we started this company, I had a very specific idea about a use case, and that was wrong. It was not the right use case. It's okay, but you gotta iterate, and you gotta iterate fast. You have to be very open with your team about, look, man, I thought this, and I have this data. We gotta shift a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's just what you're writing doesn't change. Maybe the go-to-market changes, or hey, maybe these features should be thought differently, or whatever the thing is. But you gotta be ready for that. And my experience now is, and my co-founder and I, if we get an opportunity, we make these small kind of angel investments, and we find that the teams who get stuck with their core idea, unfortunately, end up losing our money because they don't work out, right? And that is a really, really important aspect or quality to entrepreneurs.
For you, in the development of Rafay Systems or previous ventures, obviously building the right team. Like, if you can sell, that's important, but then building the right team to move it forward is crucial. Any insights you can share of either building the right team or crafting that or choosing the right people? Anything you can share on that?
So this is not by design. It kind of happened for us, at least. So here's a litmus test. Hey, I just talked to a customer, and they said that I love your product, but only if it does this one thing, I'd be interested. Okay. So you may get one of the following answers. We're really, really busy right now. What do you want me to drop from the things I already have on my plate? So I call that engineering blackmail, by the way, right? It's like, you know I can't answer that question, but you asked me that question anyway. I'm going to say, no, drop nothing. Why did you ask me that question, right? That's engineering blackmail. And of course, I kid when I say those things. But that's a tough question. But, the best people in teams, they never say that. What they say is, let me go figure it out. Let me see if it's even possible. I'll come back and tell you what it's going to take, and then we make a decision. And then you tell me, what do we do, right? So we are very lucky that we're surrounded by leaders in our engineering team who behave that way. And this happens all the time. In fact, the most recent deal I personally closed, it's with a healthcare company. I think their logo's already on our website, but they said to us on the day of the POC, oh, you don't support CentOS? Yeah, that's not going to work for us. Okay, CentOS is a Linux variant. Okay, so and we didn't at that instant. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So I talked to the team, and I went back to the customer and said, okay, I'm going to show you a demo in a week. And 3 weeks is going to be in production. Can you wait 3 weeks? Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. The people who are interested in buying, they never say, if it's not here today, I'm not going to. They will invest in the company. They're not investing in a point-in-time product. If your product doesn't do X today, no way, no deal. Nobody does that. It doesn't happen. They are investing in your roadmap, right? They will work with you. In fact, the best customers help us build our product better because they see this as an investment.
Messaging, getting connected, there are new ways to look at how do you grow, how do you build, how do you communicate, both externally as well as internally. What do you see that you're going to need to overcome, and how are you approaching these new challenges?
Yeah, I think given the market we're in that companies are out there looking for something like this, that makes it a little bit easier. It's not free because we're just this tiny company nobody's heard of. Our goal is to be in that top 3 consideration when an enterprise makes a decision. That's any vendor like us, right? It's not about you want to be the best, but that's not really the question right now. The question is, when somebody says, I want to look for Kubernetes management, do you show up in the top 3, right? And there are ways to make that, influence that, right? Working with analysts that enterprises talk to as one example of a thing that one should do. But the most important thing is you got to be out there, right? You got to be, in there on their radar in some fashion, right? They have a sphere of kind of information collection, right? So they're collecting information from a number of different places, and they gotta see it, right? So when they make a decision, they know, okay, this company, I know this other company, and I've heard about this company, Rafay, and I remember that they have the deepest integration with Amazon's Kubernetes, which is EKS. Okay, and I'm an Amazon shop. I should talk to them. By the way, as a completely selfish plug, there's a blog about Rafay on Amazon's website talking about how Rafay helped an Amazon customer, deploy Kubernetes in Amazon, right? So I don't believe there's other blogs like that on their website, which is awesome, right? So these are the things that are helping, right? You want to be in, you want to make it very clear where you fit, right? We're not trying to boil the ocean. We'll do this. If you're using EKS, Rafay is hands on the best product in the market. You should talk to us. And then kind of staying fresh in their mind.
What kind of technology innovations do you predict we'll see in the near term, next year or so, and the long term, 5-10 years?
We've been talking about modernization for forever. It had different names, digital transformation and SOA and all these phrases. But I think arguably the world's changed now, right? I mean, particularly because of COVID. The world is different, travel will be different, and everything will be different now, right? And I think we will interact with each other indirectly more than we are used to. Already, we don't shake hands anymore. That changed, right? You go to the grocery store and there's a glass barrier, right? And usually when I tell them, hey, if I ask a question, they can't hear me anyway because there's a glass barrier. So then I kind of go around and say, hey, which is just at some point somebody's gonna find a better way to do this. But I think we're gonna interact more indirectly, even in real life, and that's gonna drive a whole new set of applications and channels that maybe we haven't really thought about. Right, like as an example, like obviously, we were talking on what is it today, the 2nd of September, and Zoom stock went up like 40% yesterday after they announced a 400 or whatever. This is crazy, right? But is Zoom the best product? I don't know, right? I mean, we're going to probably see some innovation there, right? I mean, I saw a beautiful tweet yesterday which says, the biggest feature missing on Zoom is, when you're on a call with 20 people and somebody's droning on and on and on. In a meeting, I can kind of look to the side and, kind of nod at my colleague and say, this guy, I can't do that on Zoom now, right? I need that feature, right? Somebody's going to build a company for that, right? Oh my God, this guy, right? This will happen, right? So we're going to, but, broadly speaking, I think we're going to have, channels of indirect communication that we haven't thought about.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.